know that last week we had we had another live session where I gave a brief introduction about unavailable fathers. So I gave different types of unavailable fathers, and today we're going to talk about the absent father. So the absent father is that kind of a father who is unavailable to fulfill his parenting duties. And these fathers include fathers who have died, fathers who abandoned their children at a younger age, or fathers who were separated from their children due to divorce. And those fathers who are there by name, they're there, but they're not they're there, but they cannot spend time with their children. So our guest has just sent me a request. I'm going to add her. Then we can start. Oh, I see Nedi. I see Linda. Welcome, Tafadzwa. Finally,
Finally.
finally you're here. So okay. So this is our guest. Her name is Tafadzwa Moyo, but I'm going to ask her to introduce herself. So would you mind introducing yourself? Like just say a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So like everyone heard, my name is Tafadzwa Moyo. I am a lawyer by profession and a creative by passion. I'm no, I don't know if I should say my age, but I'm old enough.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, I think that's about it. And tonight you're going to get to know a bit more about myself as I'm sharing my story. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Tafadzwa. So, like I said, right, we're talking about the absent father today. So, in what way was your father absent, Tafadzwa? Because okay, so wait before
Yes.
it's okay. Sorry, before you start talking. So okay, I spoke with Tafadzwa before we came on this live, and I got to know that her father falls under the absent father category. So that's why I'm asking this question. Some of you would probably wonder, like, why are you asking her this question? So yeah, this is the reason why I'm asking you, why, in what way was her father absent? So you can go ahead.
Okay. So I guess my father falls under absent. I don't know if it's to say absent because he was never there to start with. So
Okay.
my story is basically my mother got pregnant, pregnancy, and then there were obviously issues related to the story. I don't know the full story because in our culture, parents don't really share these types of stories. So you just know that your father wasn't there, he left after you were born, and that's it. So I
Okay.
never met him. I've never known him, and I just grew up with my mom and her side of the family, of which my mom later died when I was 11. So that's basically my story with regards to my father.
Okay. I'm sorry about your mom. So since you say that you never saw your father and you never, like, you grew up with your mom, did you grow up with a father figure in your life? And if yes, like, what role did he play?
So I do not only have one father figure. I had quite a lot from my mom's side of the family. So I was raised by mostly one of my uncles, but I had a lot of people that were present in my life as father figures. So they were my guardians. As I mentioned before, after my mom passed on, they were fully responsible for me with everything, school, and my whole life. So they played that guardian role in my life. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so like then can you say that you never did you feel the absenteeism of your father, or the absenteeism, I don't know, like the actual word, okay, did
No,
you ever feel like you don't have a father, or have that feeling, that okay, I don't have a father. Yes, I have people with me, but it's like I don't have my father. Oh, I don't know if that was the actual word I said, so bear with me, please.
we'll make it our word. We'll create that word. But naturally, yes, because and I will always say this: it's not to be ungrateful for the people that were in your life, but there's growing up and discovering myself and the things that I've been through. I realize that there's a role that your father plays that no one can play, whether it's a guardian, whether it's an uncle, or somebody else in your life. There's a touch that they play in your life that nobody else can play. They can cater to your needs and take you to school and everything, but there's always that missing you, that void. And also, you watch other people with their fathers and you realize that, okay, I don't have this, and it's something that I would like to have. I was saying to one of my close friends this past Father's Day, and I always used to hate Father's Day because of the status, and everybody's got relationship with their father, and that's one of the wounds I had to deal with, to accept that it had to happen the way it happened. And you feel it. I felt it on Father's Day. I felt it on days where I was going through something and I struggled, and I felt, okay, maybe if I had a dad to talk to, um, things would be better. But I did feel it a lot.
Okay, so did you ever blame yourself for not having a father? You said that, like you hated Father's Day, people would post their fathers, and for you, you didn't have your father. So you actually felt the void, that emptiness, that, what, my father is not here. So did you ever blame yourself for that?
I think for the longest time, and this connects to the rejection part of it. Um, from my story, firstly, I felt like I dealt with rejection because I felt, um, okay, was maybe my mom not good enough, and did he not want me to be part of his life, to completely cut me off? I mean, some people don't have their fathers, but they still connect with them, or some form of communication. But for me, it was completely um, um, you know done with. I didn't have any kind of communication with him. And the worst part was when I was 16 and I wanted to get my ID. No, the first was when I was 14 and I wanted to get my. So they were asking about my father history, and nobody knew what was going on. So I blamed myself for a long time. And also, to a certain extent, I blamed myself for my mom's life. I know it was not my fault
Okay.
now, but I felt like I had a part to play in how everything turned out. Um, if I hadn't been there, would things have been different?
Okay, I'm very sorry that you had to go through that. So can you say that like you say that your dad rejected you, right?
Yeah.
So obviously you've had issues with rejection. So have you ever had any fears of abandonment?
Yes, a lot. And now I'm guessing when I'm now going into the effects of the things I had to deal with. Uh,
Okay.
I think the worst part for me was dealing with this stuff unaware. When you are a certain type of person, but you don't understand why you are that person. You want to be better, but you cannot be better at something that you don't understand, or you don't know where it's coming from. So I had to deal with, the issue of abandonment and rejection in my relationships. So not only romantic relationships, but also friendships. I always almost preempted how the relationship would turn out. So it's either I would break up with the person first, or I try and control the way that the relationship or friendship is going, so that this person, if they decide to leave me, I've left them first. I'm not going to deal with that. And it affected. I didn't have relationships that lasted, and if they lasted, they were very unhealthy. And I'll explain how just now. So I had to deal with going, realizing that this person is going to leave me, even if they're not going to leave me. And I still deal with it now, where I question myself, what if this person decides, am I good enough to be this person's friend? Do I need to do something extra? So I ended up overcompensating in relationships and friendships, because I wanted to come out as this person that you would never leave. And I didn't realize that in overcompensating, I was losing my identity, which from the beginning, I didn't even know and understand. So somewhere in the mix, I became 20 different people, all at the same time. So yeah, it was, that's one of the things I had to deal with. And having to come back and go back to say, okay, I feel like I don't have an identity, because, my dad was never there. And it was a case of, where are you from? Where's, other kids can answer that, but I can't. I even today, I still cannot answer that. As much as I'm on a healing road, I still cannot answer that simple question, where are you from? So I was talking about abandonment. So yes, I did experience quite a lot of it, rejection, and I didn't know how to deal with rejection, because I have been rejected a lot in my life, like everybody else. But that's not to say, most people can deal with it, but I couldn't deal with it. I went to extremes. Like I would feel like I wanted to commit suicide if somebody left my life. That's how bad it was.
Okay, so can you tell me, like, how did you deal with rejection then? You said like it was difficult for you, right? So like what would you do whenever a person rejected you?
So it's actually funny now that I think about it going back, but at that time I guess it was serious. So if I was in a relationship and somebody broke up with me, or a friendship, and they became friends with other people or somebody else, not to say that they were no longer my friend, but I felt that they were trying to move away from me, or create a space, which was unhealthy, because people can be friends with whoever they want. Doesn't mean they think less of you or anything. So I particularly remember a relationship that they left me, basically rejected. It was rejection to me, and I felt like it was the end of the world. So I would go on Google, and I would Google how to die quickly. And I remember one time I actually bought some wine and pills, and I took them, because I believed that was the end of who I was. That relationship was the end of who I could not see beyond a person leaving my life. That, that gave me identity. That made me feel like I am something. If someone can love me and accept me, I'm something. So if they left, I didn't know how to do that. And the only thing I could see in front of me was, okay, maybe I shouldn't be here. I should just not be here. Nobody loves me. And I keep messing up and I'm not a perfect person. So I should just not be here. So that's how I would usually deal with rejection. Or I would completely block out people. Yeah. Like another extreme that I would do is I completely block out people. So I would, if I sensed that in the friendship, and these were, fears that emanated from a place that was not real. Sometimes, sometimes, yes, people go through things, but most of the times, it was just in my head. So I would block you, for example, if you're my friend, I would completely block you, and then you would wonder what happened. But I've concluded in my head that you don't want to be my friend anymore and you're about to leave me. So, yeah.
Wow, that must have been difficult for you.
Yeah.
Like, just listening to you talking, it's like, I'm just thinking now, it's like, okay, now there's Tafadzwa, right? And I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are probably going through the same things you went through, and
Yeah.
they don't even know how to get help, or they don't even know what to do. And probably they're not even aware, like you say, that you were not, you were not aware, you didn't know what was wrong with you. So you said you were not aware, right? You didn't know what was wrong with you. How then did you get to know that, okay, I have a problem, and this problem is emanating from the fact that I didn't grow up with a father?
Okay. So, coupled with, the other effects that I spoke about, I became my own downfall, if I could use that word, because when you
Okay.
live, like when you don't know who you are and you are multiple people and multiple characters, and not in the sense of multiple personalities. I just mean like you are here and you are there. For every new friend that I had, I took a part of them to make my identity, and for every relationship I'm in, I I was fitting into that relationship. So I was all over the place. So with that, I came to a place where I I was not honest with myself because I didn't know who I was. And there was a lot of dishonesty and um, what's the word? Like I was even lying to myself. So I realized after I started ruining relationships and friendships, obviously the other people had their own parts to play, because when you are that person, you also attract the same kind of people. When you're a toxic person, you attract the same kind of energy, because no one is keeping anyone else accountable. We were all okay, being in those friendships and relationships because no one was there to call anyone out. We were just, doing life. So I realized that so many things were going wrong around me. And I think the highlight of it was 2019, where I went through one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. And I think at that time, I felt like it was the end of the world. But in hindsight, I've realized that um, it was actually God saving me, because I had gotten to a point where I was so unaware of my behavior and so unaware of the things that, I was going through. And I got comfortable not being able to explain, because now the difference is I can call myself out when I realize that I'm doing something wrong. I can call myself out. But back then I got very comfortable with, oh, I did this. Okay, it happens. It is who I am, at the end of the day. But after that happened, I realized, no, I need to be able to answer this question. why am I this person and why am I doing this? And I need to be able to answer myself. If not anybody else, I need to give myself answers, to say, if I do something, and not to condemn myself, is to make myself a better person. So I think that place, that dark hole that I went into in 2019 is what gave me a wake-up call. And with that, I decided, okay, I need to go for therapy. And then when I went for therapy, that's when I realized that things don't happen. The real issue was not the incident or the event. The real issue was 25 years ago, or or whenever things started happening. And that's how I started my journey. That's how I became self-aware. And it was a difficult journey because I had to revisit some things that I had subconsciously put in at the back of my head. And I remember one of the sessions, I actually said to myself, oh, yes, that actually happened, and not to say I'd forgotten about it. It was just now coming forward, and I had to, sorry.
It's all right. Take your time. It's okay.
So I had to revisit those places and realize that no, I need to get better. And for me to get better, I need to own my story. I think what was messing me up is I was trying to act like these things never happened, and I was not this kind of person. I was trying to create an image that I was this sort of person, as opposed to owning my story and healing. And it was only after I owned every part of it, even the hurtful part, even the shameful parts, even the embarrassing parts, even the things that even right now, when I think about, I cringe, I had to take all of that and say, this is who I am, and this is what it is. And I have to heal from that. So that's how I became self-aware, through therapy. And before I take too much time, another thing that really took me through everything was my faith. God put some very, very, very important people in my life at the time. And I don't even know how to thank these people, and he strategically put people in my life that encouraged me and that didn't judge me, because that's what I needed. I think from everything and the effects that happened, like I said, you have these sort of behaviors that are unconventional. You portray behaviors that everybody is like, oh my gosh, why are you like this person? And everybody judges you. But at the time in my life, which is something that I needed, I had people around me, and my faith really pulled me through, and it also helped me to become self-aware of the issues that I had, and I completely surrendered to God. I'm a Christian. I love God and I love everything about God. So God helped me to become self-aware, and he also, going through the process, God revealed to me as I prayed and as I came closer to him, the areas that I needed healing in. Like I said, some things you forget because things are so traumatic. Some of the experiences are so traumatic. And I did mention that growing up, both my parents were not there. And I was raised by different types of people with different types of lifestyle, you know. And at first, I felt like talking about it would be a disrespect to those people because, I mean, they were there for me when nobody else would be there. But I realized for me to heal, I had to take those parts as well, you know, um, and 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 break them down and think about how it affected me, and I need to undo those behaviors, and you know, to get to a place where I'm comfortable with, um, where I've created something that I want for myself. So now I talk about it, and I will say it again, not in a disrespectful way, but in just to bring the whole story together and to heal. So you know, it's that stuff for me that was revealed, you know, through praying and through um, building my relationship with God, where you know He highlighted to me, okay, you need to deal with this particular thing. For example, okay, you had become a dishonest person, so you need to deal with it. And I had to revisit at what point did I learn that, you know. And it's not necessarily just one father figure, it's a pattern, a lot of other people that are present in your life that contribute into your that make you the person that you are. So as much as I realized also, I'm not a victim and I'm not here to play the blame game. It's my responsibility as an adult right now to take hold of my life and to make it the way that I want to make it. You know, things have happened. The past is in the past. I can't change, but I can definitely change the person that I'm becoming and where I am going, you know. So I've realized that I have that control. I can't control my dad not being there. That is done. But I have the control of, you know, the person that I am becoming.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was just listening to you talk, and you know what? I just wanted to tell you that look at you, you're owning your story, and here you are, you're sharing your story with everyone. I think the first step was accepting, you know, like accepting that I have a problem, you know, and I have to deal with this. And you owned your story, and here you are. Look at you. I mean, you're strong. You're strong, and look at you, like the person you have become now, like from where you were and looking at yourself now, like you've done a great job. And I think this is good because you're actually going to help someone who is out there, who's probably going through the same things that you're going through, but they don't know how to deal with it. Probably someone is on the verge of committing suicide right now, but because you've shared your story, they're going to know that they're not alone, you know. They're going to know that, you know, I'm not in this situation alone. There are people out there who went through the same situation and they've done better. They've
Yeah.
worked and, you know, tried to heal. Just like you've said that, you know, you went through a journey of healing, and probably you're still trying to heal from what happened to you. But
Yeah.
look at you, here you are, and you, honestly, I am proud of you. No, really. Like I was just listening to you talking, you know, and you know, there was a moment you broke down, and I could I tried to put myself in your shoes, and I realized that, you know, sometimes people don't understand. They just see someone walking and then they'll be like, ah, she's fine. But to be honest, sometimes we don't know what a person is going through. And I think the sad part is sometimes people go through what they're going through, but they don't know that they're going through that because
Yeah.
of because they grew up having an unavailable father. They didn't grow up with a father, or maybe the father was there, but he was emotionally unavailable. So it's like you're going through, you know, a whole lot of things, and you don't know where it's coming from. You don't know where it's emanating from. I'm glad you talked about your faith. You talked about God. there was a part you said that you went into a dark hole, and that's when you realized that you really needed help and you really needed to work on yourself, and you decided to go for therapy. So what was what was your healing journey like? Like, what was it like in that process where you were trying to heal? And can you say it was easy? Can you say it was difficult? Or you mentioned that, you know, God placed people strategically in your life who were there for you. Like, what role did they really play in your healing journey?
So, with regard to my therapy journey, I think it was not easy because of two things. The person that is the hardest to forgive is yourself. So it took me a very long time to forgive myself because I felt, you feel that everybody else is supposed to forgive you, but you forget that the most important person for your healing and for you to go forward is yourself, to forgive yourself. So I struggled with that. And secondly, I struggled to accept myself because I lived in two realities. I lived in a fake reality and the real thing. You know, I don't know if I should call it fake reality because that's a oxymoron. But I lived a fake and the real thing, and I struggled to come to the other side because I wanted to see. I couldn't accept the fact that in some instances I couldn't accept the fact that this is something that I did and it's wrong, because I wanted to believe that I was okay. So I don't know if it makes sense. Like I struggled to bridge the gap between, okay, you know what? I remember one exercise I did, actually had to write things down that I needed to forgive myself for. And I remember I would leave some things out because, it was just too much. And I would forgive myself for the other things and work through the other things and leave other things and sort of create a story that made sense in my head with the parts and not the other. So I struggled with that for a long time until I got to a place where, my therapist said to me the only way to heal and to get through it is looking at things as they are. As long as you look at things the way you think they happened or you think will make you feel better, you are not going to heal. You will go forward, but you still get to a place where that you need to revisit that part that you were not real about. So that was a difficult chapter of my life because I had never been anyone, and this is me being vulnerable. I got used to twisting the truth to make it work for me or how I wanted to see the picture. So going down to basics, where I now had to be honest with myself and honest with the situation and becoming a better person and undoing, it's very hard. It's very easy to catch on a habit, but very hard to undo it. It's very, very hard to undo it. So those are some of the things that I faced in therapy. And I still give myself these exercises from time to time because, coming out of something doesn't automatically mean, especially having lived in those habits for a very long time, it's very easy for me to fall back because it's comfortable. I'll tell you one thing, healing is not comfortable. It's very hard. So sometimes I feel like, I can't do this, especially when I have to deal with being in healthy relationships and forming healthy relationships where I confront things and I'm vulnerable with those people, sometimes I feel like, you know what, no, I'm not going to deal with this. I'm going to go back into my system. And then I realize, you know what, I'm going to become that person again, and I don't want to be there. So I come back again and I deal with things as they are. So yeah, it's been a very difficult but fulfilling journey, because now I have a definition of who I am, not only by doing these exercises, but I don't need anyone to define me. I don't need a relationship to define me. I now know that I am, because God is. Unless God changes his mind about who I am, then that's when I'll start panicking. But really, now, like I said, people will judge you. There's a lot of shame involved in past things, but I don't live in that anymore. I used to, obviously, because of the effects. You become a people pleaser, and you want everyone to like you, and you want to live in a certain way. But now I don't live in my shame. I don't, I'm I'm a different person. And I live in that truth that I'm becoming better for me and not for anyone else. So you can come and be in a relationship with me, you can come and be my friend. Who you are is, it's not going to affect me. I will contribute, just as a friend will, but my identity will not be attached to that relationship, or whoever it's life. But I do have a, a higher calling than myself. So I realized I cannot live in that shame, or in that, people are talking about it, people are judging me. People will talk until kingdom come. So, you know, I those are the struggles that I've had to face in my healing, coming back the world, if I should say, after everything that happened, and thinking to myself, will I be able to face the world, or how am I going to deal with everything? But I've realized that, respectfully so, I don't owe anyone an explanation. you know
Yeah,
and
that's true.
that was my first step to healing, because I'm coming back from the background of people pleasing and always having to explain myself. This is why I did this, this is why this happened. And in that explaining myself, I'm creating real stories just to match the narrative. And it was too much for me. It became too much for me, and I decided I would rather be on one, road. And if you reject me, then that's on you. It's got nothing to do with my value or who I am. And it's actually a privilege if you do, because then it means you never had the right intentions for me. So those are the struggles that I've been facing as I'm going through my healing. And like you mentioned, I'm not there yet. There's sometimes like this conversation. Today, I'll be very honest. Today, I thought, okay, is it the right time for me to talk about it? What if people judge me when I share everything that I'm going through? Okay, I still have those anxieties and fears. But at the end of the day, I come back to myself. And it is in knowing myself that I then say, you know what, let me go and talk. Got nothing to do with anyone else.
Wow. Just so you know, just remember that you have saved a life today, with your story. I know you say that you had doubts, like, is it okay for me, to share my story? But trust me, you have saved somebody's life with your story. And, as you're talking about people pleasing, I think it's the most common thing among, everyone who has an unavailable father. It's like you're always trying to please people because you feel like that's what can I say? Like you're defined by that. Like because you need to have an identity, you tend to please a lot of people. And in that process, you end up losing your identity, like you said. So I think it's something that I've noticed. I've had different clients with father issues. And as they are talking, you can also pick that, okay, this person is a people pleaser. This person is always trying to please people because they don't know who they are. So I'm glad that you know who you are. You got to know who you are, like the kind of person you are. So thank you very much, Tafadzwa, for sharing your story. So what can you say to the people who are listening and to the people out there who are experiencing the same things that you've experienced?
So
Any encouragement?
if you allow me, I failed to mention one other thing that I struggled with, and I think I would like to mention it for other people, to help other people before I go to encouraging words. So one of the other things that I noticed I did was, you know, ever since I was in varsity, I would always tell myself, I like to date older guys because they're more mature, and you know, they get me because I'm mature beyond my age, you know, that talk. But as I was going through my healing, I actually realized that that was a toxic trait in me. And not to say it's wrong for people to date older guys. If it's healthy, if it's coming from a healthy place, by all means do it. But for me, it was coming from, I was looking for somebody to who would, you know, take care of, like you know how your father is your father. So I realized in my relationships, I would search for that person and hide behind the fact that I'm wise beyond my years, and so I must date older guys, and that messed me up even more, because these guys realized what I was lacking. So they didn't see me as an equal in the relationship. And it became toxic in the sense that I stayed to look for something. And as I was looking for that something, if it was not delivered and I complained, it almost felt like, but, you know, I'm doing this for you. And then I would be okay with it, because in my head, I'm looking for a father figure. And this person's there, so why am I complaining? And I ended up getting into very toxic relationships. You know, borderline abusive, not physically, but, you know, verbally. There's lots of ways, financially. And I had, during my healing process, I had to come back to the drawing table and say, do I really date older guys because, you know, they are wiser? Most of them really, you know, respectfully, they were not as wise. But I said, do I date these people because they actually, what are they contributing to my life? Or am I dating them to fill a void? You know? And I realized, and for other people out there, you know, unless, like I said, it's a situation and you are really in a relationship with this person and you're equal partners, and you know, it's a healthy relationship. But if you are like me, then consider revisiting that area, because you are putting a burden, as much as you know, you are trying to fill a void, you're also putting a burden on this person. They don't, sometimes they're confused at what they're supposed to do, because you're expecting them to be a dad and not your partner. So you are dealing with these things that are internal, and they don't understand what is going on, and that is just a messed up relationship altogether. So I had to stop and revisit my relationship life, and it's safe to say now I'm on the correct path, if I should say so. Yeah. So that's what
Okay.
I mentioned.
Okay, so someone said, I like the way you took control of your situation. That's not easy, but it sets you on your path. I respect your courage to share. Well done. Hey, well done, Tafadzwa. Honestly, you did a great job. And you know what you just said right now? I actually mentioned it last week when I was talking about the impact of having an absent father, that people tend to create an image of, you know, the kind of father they want, and they end up looking for that in their partners or spouses. So like you said you wanted people who were mature, right? It's because you grew up without a father. And for you, you wanted someone who was mature so that they could take care of you. So it's like you're looking for a father figure in your partners. And I think in a way it ended up affecting you and causing problems for you as well. So thank you very much for pointing that out. So, okay, I had said you can, you know, like give us some words of encouragement to the people who are listening and to the people out there who are probably going through the same things that you went through.
So I know that I shared from the female perspective, but I know that there are also males who are struggling with, you know, having absent fathers. So so this applies to everybody who's going through what they're going through, and it's different for everyone. My experience might not be the same for you. Maybe you have you know, different effects, and you've gone through a different path than me, but that's not to say anyone's story is small or, you know, insignificant. As long as it has affected you, you know, it's something big. And like I said, I would just like to share something from the Bible that helped me. It's a whole scripture, but I won't read it now because we don't have time. So it's from
It's all right.
Isaiah 54. So you guys should read the whole scripture, Isaiah 54, but I'm just going to take verse 4 so that I can encourage everyone who is going through something. So the thing with these is that once you become self-aware that you're going through, which I hope somebody has been with this to identify some of the things that they're going through, and you start your healing process. You need something that is greater than, because alone you cannot do it. I couldn't do it. And to all the people out there, you know, if you there's a father that is always there, even if you're unaware of him. He's always there and he loves you. And as you stray away from him and as you go through everything in life, he's still there with his open arms, and he loves you more than any father could ever love you, more than your unavailable father, even if you were there. God loves you. I can't describe to you how much God loves you. So I'm going to get into the word and leave you with this scripture. God promises you restoration. And it says, do not be afraid, for you will not be put to shame. Don't be humiliated, for you will not be disgraced. For you will forget the shame of your youth, and you will no longer remember the disgrace of your widowhood. Okay, you know, and I like Isaiah 54 because even going through my life and everything that happened, not having an available father and all the things that happened, he tells me that, you know, he has not abandoned me and there's restoration for me. So don't feel ashamed of your story. You know, now I always have a saying with myself every time I wake up and, you know, I'm thinking, how do I get through the day? I'm feeling overwhelmed. And I always think to myself that, you know, there are so many things that could have happened to me, but they didn't. And I'm here. So if there's encouragement for anyone out there, you know, I didn't share the nitty-gritties of my story, but if I could make it, then you can definitely make it. And there's a God for us all who will take us through life. Please read Isaiah 54. It will tell you how much God will restore you and how much He will put you together again. And He knows and understands how it hurts, and He knows and understands the judgment and the shame and everything that you're going through. But He still promises to love you, and He truly does. And I know we cannot change or replace our fathers, but God is a father that we cannot, replace. He is here for you. And I would also like to say, for the ladies or anyone who would like to reach out, Rumbi, you have my details. I'm available for encouragement. I don't know it all, guys, but I'm here to listen, and I'm here to help if anyone needs it.
Thank you very much, Tafadzwa. Thank you very much for sharing your story. I'm really proud of you, and I'm glad that you found your way, and here you are. You're here, you're owning your story, and you're telling it to the world, and you're sharing it with everyone else. So thank you very much. So you guys, thank you for tuning in, and please come back next Monday, as we are going to bring another guest who is going to be sharing her story as well. So I'm going to bring a lot of people who are going to share their stories. Like I said, I mentioned different types of unavailable fathers. So we're going to bring each person, and they're going to be talking about the unavailable father and how it affected them. So thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. I'll be seeing you next Monday. Yeah, I'll be seeing you next Monday. And for those who want help or probably need help, you can just, inbox me on my Facebook page or Instagram page or on our Revolve Generation page. If you want to talk to Tafadzwa, then just do the same, and I'll get you in touch with her. So thank you very much, Tafadzwa. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. So see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.